Hi and welcome to this new video. I want to do a video today about plugins to actually create CSS without having to enter any code. Now, if you're like me, you like to build WordPress sites and pages using a page builder. So there are many page builder out there that allows you to create pages or articles articles or posts, the easiest way. And of course they allow also you to change the layout, change the look of your different elements. But sometimes, depending on the page builder that you're using, there might be some limitations, things that you cannot do, or simply things that you can do in general but doesn't work necessarily, for example, on mobiles. So you want to have more flexibility. So in order to do that, you will need to enter some CSS, that which stands for Cascading Style Sheet. And this is for the look of the site. So it can be for the layout, can be just to change the color of links, for example, or buttons and so on. Or it can be for different little things like that, hiding something on mobile and so on. So if you're like me, you know how to code things. I can code HTML, I can code JavaScript, PHP, I can also code CSS. But of course, I like it when things are easier and faster. That's why I'm using Page Builder. And in the same way, I like to use a CSS plugin to help me create CSS the fastest way, and also visually at the same time, because I can see right away the modifications that I make, which makes it a lot faster than to type things and then having to go back, preview it, then go back, make some modification, preview it again, and so on. So this is one of the advantages of that. Also, if you want to change the CSS, for example, on a website, in the older days, we had to create a child theme. So always create a child theme and then modify the CSS of the child theme, because if you don't do so, when you update the theme, it will override the modification that you have made. Now with new CSS plugins, you don't have to do that anymore. If you make some modifications there, then of course it will allow you to keep the changes if you update the theme. Also, some themes do have some spaces to enter CSS manually, but then again, if you don't know how to code CSS, it will not help you. So I'm going to present to you 4 different CSS plugins that I've tested. The one that I'm using currently is Microthemer. I have used CSS Hero a few years ago, and I didn't renew my subscription, but just renewed yesterday so that I can show it to you again and see how it has improved over the years. So I'm going to show you those 2. Also Yellow Pencil and SiteOrigin CSS. I'm going to show you those 4, but before I do that, just let me point out that in the newer version, not the latest, but since probably 4.8, 4.9, WordPress now has a better support for custom CSS. So if I go inside my customizer, let me right click on that and open in a new tab. Sorry, my browser is in French, but you should be able to follow. I'm currently using the Astra theme, by the way, because it is supported by all those 4 CSS plugins. And I'm going to talk more about that a little bit later on. But you can see here you have additional CSS, and this is built into WordPress and to the customizer since few version. So if you know how to code CSS, and if you just need to make a couple of modifications, this is a good place to go. Now, if you don't know CSS at all, of course, or if you need to make many modifications, if you need to have 50 lines of code, for example, you might not want to go at a place like that, though it will still work. But you might want to use one of the tools that I'm going to show you today. So let's start with Themeover, which is Microthemer. So this website here presents Microthemer. I've been using that for 4 or 5 years, if not more. So that's a good one. That's the one that I really like. The main reason that I kept using it, to be quite honest, is because there was a possibility to have a lifetime license, which is not available anymore. But still, this is one of the really good one that you have, and I'm going to present them one after the other. Now, the developer license, of course, if you have just one site, you want to go with the standard, which is up to 3 sites. But I'm going to talk about the developer license in these different plugins. So the developer license is $90 for the first year, and it renews at $54 each year after the first year. Okay, so of course you can cancel anytime, but this is the price. And if you cancel, of course, it will keep on working. It's just that you won't have the updates anymore. Okay. $90. I'm going to talk to you a little bit later on about a coupon code that I have for this particular plugin, which will remove 25% out of that $90, so something around $67 or so. So this one, let's go with Microthemer that is enabled here. Let's say that I want to, I'm going to open a page first. I'm going to go with my link page. I have installed a couple of dummy pages with the example content plugin. Let's go with my links page, and I'm going to click on Microthemer. I can always change the page that I'm modifying if I want to, but it's easier if I browse to that page and just click on the Microthemer button. Now, Microthemer is at the top as opposed to most of the other, which has a toolbar, a panel, I should say. So we have those two rules here, but you can always change in the view menu here what you want to see or not. For example, if you want to disable the rulers. And the preferences, nothing special here, but you might want to change sometimes whether you want to show the language or not. You can change the default units for measurement, which is a good thing, by the way. So by default, the pixel is implicit, so that means that if you don't put the unit of measure, the measurement, it will be pixel by default, and so on. So you can also deactivate it, by the way, and you can decide whether if you deactivate it, it will keep the CSS or not, which is a good thing. If you know that you don't need that anymore, you have made all your modifications, you want to get rid of it, then it's possible. Of course, doesn't really add to the load of the page because it's in the back end. It will add one CSS file, which for me is a good thing. I know that some people don't want that. For me, it's a good thing because then you don't have to have an additional child theme or things like that. So that's a good thing from my point of view. Now, the way that it works, I need to target what I want to change. So let's say I want to change the links here. So I'm going to click on target, and then I can browse. By default, you're going to see, by the way, it's like that. But you can always show the advanced. It's going to be a little bit like the web developer toolbar that you have in Chrome or Firefox, where you can scroll through the content here, or simply when you click on something, when you scroll over something, you see that the page will change here. So for example, if I click on my link here, it will target the link. I can see the styles that are currently applied to it, or I can use the compound view and look at different CSS that is applied to that specific element that I've selected. And we have different targeting suggestions. Sorry, English is not my first language. And it will tell you how many tags it will target. So for example, if I use this one, it will target only one tag, one element, which is the first one here. And I can choose different other suggestions here that will always target just the first element. Or I could switch to this one, which is targeting 3 elements, which is those 3 links. Notice that these are not selected. And again, have other suggestions as well, and so on. Another way is to click on that or mouse over that little plus button here, and again, I can select what I want. And this is something that I like about Microthemer. It allows you to decide what you want to target. So if you want to target just one element, it's pretty easy. It does that by default. Others are not as easy to target just one element. But of course, I want to target my 3 links in this case. So I'm going to click on this one. and it's going to use the default general and clear link name. I can always change that, by the way, and when I select my element, I can always change the label, change where I want to put it, and so on. Okay, so let me just click on that back here. Okay, so this is just for to make it easier to know where your things are. You can see that I have one in the general folder, but you don't have. You can put everything in the same folder if you want to. Now I have different devices here that I can target, first of all. So by default, it's all devices, but I can select the larger desktop, the desktop and tablet, tablet and phone, which are different size that I can come here, by the way, by clicking here and modify the different dimensions for each of them if I wanted to. I can add more if I need to as well. And by the way, this is the default set, so it loads the big desktop version, and then it goes from the biggest to the smallest screen size. Now, if you're a little bit more advanced and you know what we call mobile first approach, you might want to work that way. It is possible with Microthemer. I don't think it is possible with the others, but with Microthemer it's possible. You can load an alternative media query set, and then you can say desktop first, which is the default, or mobile first. Okay, with device or with semantics, the difference is simply that it will, for example, for you iPhone 4 or things like that, and the other one will simply say a screen size. Okay, so I'm going to keep the default in my case, but if you want to go mobile first, I encourage you to do that, and you can just load an alternative media query and click update. I'm going to cancel in my case. So that means that everything that I'm putting right now, it's full screen, but it will apply to every screen size. Now in Microthemer, you will see that you always have something displayed in gray. When I mouse over it, it disappears. That's just because these are the default values, whether directly in the theme or because you have changed it somewhere else. When you change something, then it will appear in the real, in black, in the real element. For example, in the color here, I see that it's underlined in the bottom section. So again, this is the default color. If you have it on the top here, it will be the color that you have put yourself. And then you have different categories here, depending on what you want to change. You can also put code manually if you are comfortable with that. Now, let me just show you one other thing that Microthemer has that none other, from what I can see, has. Now remember that I have more experience with Microthemer than with any other, but still I think that it's the only one that has that. You have here what is called draft mode. So if your site is live and you want to test things without changing the actual site, this is a really cool thing, because you can turn on draft mode and every modifications that you make here will be visible there, but not on the final site. And once you have done every modification that you want and you are satisfied with the changes, then you can just come here and turn off the draft mode, and all the changes will be applied automatically. So this is really a good thing. You can also change JavaScript, by the way, which I never use Microthemer for that, but this is something that you can do if you want to. So I'm going to do just some basic modifications here, just to compare the different CSS tools on how to do simple things like that. Some are more advanced than others, but I just want to show you the overall look and feel. So let's say I want to change, for example, the colors here of my links. So I can just go inside my text section and color here. I can change a different color, let's say, and I have previous chosen color here that appear. I can put some transparency if I wanted to, and so on. So let's go with that color here, let's say. And as you can see, you will see a little animation here when I change colors and so on. It applies that automatically. So it's not instant. Depending on the server speed that you have and so on, it might take a few seconds to update, depending on what you change as well. But it's usually pretty fast if you have a fast server like I do. I'm going to change my, for example, my size here to be 18 instead of the default, which was I think 15, and I'm going to increase my font weight. So this works pretty well, and right away it does apply that automatically. So if I wanted to preview my page, let's say if I open that in a new window, links page here, you see that it is already applied since I'm not in draft mode. Now if I wanted to make other modifications, there's a bunch of category here, background colors, shadows, and things like that. Well, if I want to apply a shadow, let's say for example here, let's say a little blur and maybe black, let's say. Okay, so these are all things that we can do. I don't want to go inside each detail of each thing, each element of each plugins. Of course, if I want to target a specific size as well, for example on phone I want to have a different size, let's say, then I can do that. I'm going to put something really crazy here, but just so that you can see the difference. And if I increase my font size, as you can see, it's back to 18 pixels. And you have predefined sizes as well. If I go here at the top left, where I can choose a specific Apple iPhone 5 portrait, for example, or landscape, that will look like that. Okay, so this is Microthemer. Now if I wanted to have my hover in Microthemer, I don't necessarily have the that directly embedded here. So what I would need to do is create another one, so I could target a new one. Or what I can do, I could simply go there. By the way, if you don't see everything here, you can just toggle that on. I can duplicate that one. Not rename here. I wasn't in the right place, sorry. I want to duplicate that one, and let's say I want to edit that to call it over. And since I know that it is over like that, colon hover, I can type it. But if I don't know about that, I can click on the on that little button here, and I have here the possibility to show selector modifier. So let's say for example I use that again to click on those elements here, and I want to have the hover effect. I can do it like that. I want to have all of them, so I want to make sure that I use the 3. And here we go. Now I've created a new selector for the hover state, and let's say that on hover I want to change the I don't know, the color, and I want it to be, let's say, underline. So I'm going to put the text decoration here, underline, when I mouse over, as you can see. Or what you can do as well, some people, instead of putting an underline like that, they simply put a border. So I could use a border for the bottom one. So let's say 1 pixel bottom border for a solid one, and the color, let's say blue here, that I've used previously. And there are some spacing instead of directly underneath the text, like a regular underline. So that's a good thing. And also what I can do is, if I want to space it, then I can have just a little bit of padding. So for example, I can add, I don't know, I'm going to exaggerate that a little bit, but 5 pixels of padding here, so my line is really far from it. Okay, of course better one would be 1 or 2 pixels, or simply nothing at all, but it looks like that. And now it is for every link in that paragraph, not in the links on the side. All right, so another thing that I like about Microthemer is that I can remove all of them or simply temporarily disable them by clicking that little button here. So each and every rule that I created, that I can see, by the way, really easily just by clicking on those elements here, depending if I want to have a specific folder that I created. Or I can disable the entire folder by clicking on that button here. That's what I'm going to do right now, because of course I want to show you the others. So I can just temporarily disable it, Maybe some others are able to do that as well, not sure, but like I said, I didn't go as deep with each of them. Now I'm going to exit to go back to my site front end, and I'm going to show you the second one, which is CSS Hero. Now CSS Hero is a yearly subscription as well. Right now there's a special that lasts only for the next 4 days. I'm going to give you a link at the bottom, by the way. Right now it's $69 per year instead of $199. So in 4 days, if you listen to that video after that 4 days, it's going to be back to $199. So right now it's really cheap. It's below even the renew price, because the pro version for unlimited sites, or $9.99, is renews at $79 per year. So but you can grab it for the first year at $69, which is a little bit more than Microthemer if you take my coupon code, by the way. So let's see how it looks. By the way, one of the reasons that I stopped using CSS Hero, that is because Microthemer at the time was a lifetime license. CSS Hero was not, first of all. Secondly, CSS Hero is not compatible with every theme, and that was a big drawback for me, because if I want to use a specific theme and it's not compatible with it, sorry, let me go back here, then it can be really problematic. Now they have added most of the theme that I'm using, for example Astra, Ocean, WP, Generate Press, and so on. First of all. Secondly, now they have what they call Rocket Mode, which enables you to use CSS Hero with any theme, and it seems to work the same way. So it's really behind the scene. So far I haven't really experienced any problem with this new version, which wasn't the case, to be quite honest, with what I've tested a couple of years ago. So let me go back to how it works. So let me see. As you can see, we just need to move over and select an element in order to be able to select it. So as soon as I select this one, it shows me right there that I'm targeting 3 elements, as Microthemer was doing, but in a different way. If you want to target just that specific element, it's not that obvious. I finally found out that we can right click and say only this, and then it will target just that specific one link. Okay, not all of them, but that's okay in my case. So I want to go back there. Okay, so these are a little bit more visual in a certain way than with Microthemer. By the way, my panel here is cut in half because when we modify something, it will show you the code right away. But if you don't mind, you can just toggle that off so that you have more space to see more panels open, because you can open and close panels. So that's really up to you. You might think that it's faster to do it differently. By the way, this is not at all what I wanted. So I wanted to have a typography color, not the background color. So let's say, okay, change it like that. I want to say change my font weight to be bold. Sorry, if I click twice, it doesn't close it, it simply removes that. Now screen size of it, let's say 18. Whoops. And what did we have? I think it was about that. Oh well, we had it drop shadow, text shadow, sorry. So I think that we have that here. We have box shadow, box sizing, transform. Transform needs to be done manually, transition as well. So it is available here, but you need to know what to put there, which is not that good. I don't know if the box shadow is the same thing here as the text shadow. Let's see. If I try to put one here, no, not at all. it puts a box around it. So this is not what I want at all. So let's hope it's in typography. Take shadow, there it is. Okay, so make shadow. I'm gonna go back with black. Let's say, and here I need to make the orientation, which is more visual than what we had in Microthemer, but to be honest, it's not that obvious to have the exact right amount that you want. Of course, you can type it there after, which is better, because it might be a little bit harder to simply drag that. And then here we go. Let's say this is how I want it. Now, if I want to have something different on hover, then in this particular case, I can click back here and simply select another state, which is the hover. Now, let me make sure that I don't change what was already there. No, everything seemed to work fine. So blue, let's say, and I had in mind underline, so text decoration under. So let's see, here we go. So this is how it works with CSS Hero. I can save that. If I want to disable it or delete it, and by the way, the devices is here. So again, you can select a specific device that you want, and you can edit the media query. But I don't see that we can go with the mobile first approach in this particular case. Though you can change the order here, but not sure it really works the mobile first approach way. Also, if I want to select or see all the properties that I have modified, I can always go to the code editor here for that specific element. But if I had selected something else and I'm not sure what I have, where I have things applied or code applied, then I can always come here and show selectors. So, whoops, looks like I lost what I had. I need to select. Okay, looks like I have probably done something manually previously, because I used to have something there. Sorry about that. Not used to that one as much as I already mentioned, because it looks like that even though I select that one, it doesn't work. Now I'm even wondering if I'm able to select it back. Looks like there's a little bug here, not sure. Also, if I wanted to make a modification or delete it, I would need to, I was able to select it first. So now I don't see it right there. I don't know why. But if I had a selector here, it's going to be manual. So this is not what I want. Anyway, I didn't see how to do that. Sorry, I saw how to do that, but we first need to come here and delete the code that is there before being able to come back here and select the selector, because it doesn't remove the selector, by the way. If, for example, I remove that, you see I'm back to what I had, but my code here is still there. The selector is still there. And if I need to delete the selector, it was appearing here previously, so I don't know why it's not anymore. Maybe I did something different in this particular case, but anyway, I needed to come back here and delete it, but I need to delete the code inside of it first. So not as convenient in my opinion as what Microthemer is. So anyway, let's instead of save it and publish, I'm going to click cancel, so I'm sure that I'm back to the non-style version. Whoops, looks like it's the opposite. It has saved it automatically, I guess. So let me try to delete that. And okay, looks like it's still alright for my hover state. hopefully. Oh no, so I will delete it here as well. And now I'm going to save and publish. Okay, it looks fine. The first time that I tested it, kept on spinning on save and publish, so I don't know what happened. But anyway, now it seems to work fine. Okay, so let's quit. And test the third one. The third one being Yellow Pencil. And by the way, Microthemer has a light version, so you can download it from the WordPress repository. And it's free for the full version, but up to 15 selectors. So if you really already have a page builder that works fine, you just want to make a couple of modifications, then the free version will be enough. CSS Hero doesn't have a free version. Yellow Pencil does have a free version. By the way, Microthemer, I said that everything is available for free, but I think that they have added more advanced stuff lately, like animations and things like that, and I think that is only in the paid version, by the way. But 95% of it is available in the free version. Yellow Pencil, there's a free version available, but it has some elements that are locked, and many of them are locked. Honestly, from my point of view, the free version is almost useless because there's too many limitations. Okay, and unfortunately, there's no unlimited license or things like that. You need to go into Code Canyon and pay $26 per site. If you have just 1 or 2 sites, that's perfectly fine. It's even cheaper than the others. But if you are a developer or an agency like I am, and you need to make many websites, then it can start to add up pretty quickly. Of course, this is just a one-time fee, so you need to decide whether it's worth it for yourself or not. But this is really a per site basis paid here. So let me go back there and edit with Yellow Pencil. Then again, it's a point and click approach. It targets all of them at the same time, but I can click on that little menu here and say select only this if I wanted to select just the first link. But if you have many similar items, it's going to select all of them by default. So this is okay in my case. By the way, I can drag and drop that if I want to move it somewhere else. So this is good. You have different elements here if you want that to be responsive and so on. So a few menu elements here. Now let's go and modify our elements. As you can see, first of all, if I wanted to change the font family, I can't. It's only in the Pro version. Font weight, I can, but it goes up to 700. I don't know why 800 and 900 is not there. You can still type it manually, by the way, if you want to, but they're not available in the drop down. I don't know why. Color, I wanted to change the color like I did in all the others, and it gives me a preview of what it will look like. Okay, no problem with that. But if I try to save, it will tell me that I need to upgrade to the Pro version. Okay, so this is the difference here. Text shadow, so you have different shadow here, but you need to modify it manually if the predefined shadow is not what you want exactly. So of course you have many different categories here. Some of them are for Pro only. For the others, you always have some specific elements that are for Pro only as well. Let me try to find back. By the way, you have single customization only in this current page, but you can do that for global as well for all the pages at the same time if you want to. You can change the name here and change whether it's a single template or global. You can change the page that you preview in, by the way, as well. You can review the changes here if you want to disable something, get rid of something. Well, not really disable. Well, yes, you can disable just like that. And of course, you can also delete it if you want to from memory. I think you can delete. I'm not even sure. No, I think that you can only disable in this particular spot. Anyway, you probably have somewhere else where you can make some modification. You can do a live preview as well here. Okay, it will open in another page simply. Now, for the hover state, I can come click here. I think from memory, pardon me if I'm not sure, I can change my selector here, but it's going to change what I have already put. So this is not exactly what I want. So events here, there we go. If I go to links, event, and hover, then I can modify the hover. But from what I can see, it has now decided that the modifications that I have already made is for hover. So for example, if I change my mind and go back here to change the color like I did in the other examples, it's going to change my color here, and not necessarily just on the hover state. Sorry. So if I go back to let's say unvisited, okay. So okay, it seems to work. The hover state is now working. So in the preview you only see the current state, but I was afraid that it wasn't taking the overall the hover state, in other words, but it does take it. Now by mistake I clicked somewhere else, and it looks like it doesn't want to need to click somewhere else to deactivate it. So personally, don't like that one as much. Yes, it is visual, so if you really like the type of builder like that, CSS Hero or Yellow Pencil will probably be more attractive to you than Microthemer. But Yellow Pencil for me is too expensive because I have many sites, first of all. Secondly, the free version is completely useless. There are too many limitations, in my opinion, my own opinion anyway. And doesn't seem to be quite as user intuitive, user friendly, let's say, as the others. But anyway, it's really just an opinion. So let me try to close the editor here. I think that I will be back. Yeah, I'm back to what I had. Now let's go with the last one, which is SiteOrigin CSS. This one is free. For a reason I don't know, there's just one thing that you cannot do with the free version. This is using a Google font. You need to have the paid premium version to do that. And unfortunately, there's no price for just the pro version of SiteOrigin CSS. You are paying for the entire premium plugin, which is for SiteOrigin Builder as well, that I really don't like, by the way. That adds all of that. Really hate their builder. And only this thing here is only for SiteOrigin CSS. So really not worth paying for that, in my opinion. They say $29, but it's $29 for one site. It's $99 for unlimited site, and this is per year as well. And if you decide to take it just for 1 year, it's even more expensive than that. So better to take just a yearly subscription and then cancel, probably. But if you just want something free, then this one could be good, because the free version has everything except the Google fonts. The way to change it is not the same at all. You need to go inside the back end itself, and then you need to so you can use the button here for Yellow Pencil, by the way. But if I want to modify the SiteOrigin, sorry, I'm not on the right spot. I need to go inside Appearance and then the Custom CSS, which has been added by this plugin. From there, you can type your own CSS manually, but of course we want a visual one, so we can click on that little eye button or icon here, and then we're going to have a visual look. Now it brings me back to the default page though, so if I want to browse to another one, then I can simply do that manually. Now I don't know what's going on here. I don't have anything visual. That's a little bit strange. Let me see what's going on here. Links page. let me see. I'm going to pause the video and try to figure out what's going on. Okay, so I think I figured it out. I can see that in my URL here, I'm on the HTTPS version of the site, and here it points it to the HTTP. And since I'm using multi-site, I don't have really control over that. I think that when I created that site a long time ago, I was using HTTP. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to log out and then log back in with the HTTP only version, and that should solve the issue. So I'll be back. Okay, here we go. So just like I mentioned, just by logging back into HTTP instead, now everything is working as expected. All right, so now let me just try to find, well, it goes on my home page, by the way, so I need to go inside my links page. So let me go there. When I click on it, it tries to simply select the link, but I have here navigate to my link. So I'm going to click on that to open that page, and here we go. All right, so now I want to click on that that one here, and as you can see, since I moused over it, when I clicked it, it gave me the A over link. This is not what I want at all, but I can click on that little arrow here and select what I want to target. So let me see. It's not giving me exactly how. Here we go. But I'm giving me all the links, which is not what I want. Sorry, it doesn't give me the same thing as it was giving me when I tested it first. Don't know what does that. Here we go. So now if I click on that, looks like it gives me more. Well, that's a history here. So still gives me only all the links. That's pretty strange here. Let me see. If I select that, entry content is that, and I need to target the links inside of it. Really strange. I don't know what does that. Sorry, it didn't do that the first time that I was using it. So not as easy as I would like to be able to select something. But honestly, it was working fine the first two times, so don't know what's going on here. But let's see that I want to target that one. I'm going to simply put it manually for now because I want to, hopefully I will be able to put it manually. Looks like it's giving me a hard time here. Don't know why at all, because it wasn't doing that the first time that I used it. So my guess is that it was working differently because I had made other changes with other CSS builder or visual builder, and probably it was taking their CSS, their selector, because right now it only puts A over, and of course I could select A, but that would target all my links, including the links in my sidebar, which is not what I want at all, and the links there as well. So anyway, I'm going to modify it that way, but I feel very strange that I cannot select what I want. Right click doesn't do anything, and here simply deselects that. So sorry if I'm missing something here. That might be the case, but looks like I cannot edit that the way that I want. Really strange. So anyway, let's change the text color here as we did previously. The font size of 18 pixels. You see it changes my link there as well, which is not what I want at all. So 900 for the font weight. Let's see, text text decoration here on the line. Well, it wasn't over, but anyway, let's try to see if I can add that on over after that. So I'm gonna say it like that. Ooh. Looks like I had done something that created a lot of empty spaces. Let's create another one here for a over. So no, looks like I don't have to necessarily undo the other. But let's say I want to change the color back to something bluish and underline on over. So this is what I want. The problem is that it targets all the links. So of course, if I know the path here, I can use the .entry-content.clear. So this is what I'm going to do here, but really don't like that. Content.clear A, and I'm going to copy that here for that one as well. I need to save my CSS. So if you really want to have something free, then this one could be good, but as you can see, it's not as obvious to make things with it. Looks like I still have problems here. So we need to be even more specific because the read more links are targeted again. They're part of the entry content. So anyway, so not that useful, still works, can do what you want, maybe with a little bit more experience as well. I would be able to do what I want as well, but anyway, I really prefer to use Microthemer or CSS Hero in this particular case. These are the two that I would suggest. CSS Hero uses a toolbar, if I can say it like that, a little bit like, for example, if you use to a page builder like Elementor or Thrive Architect or others, they use something, it uses something similar in that regard. That being said, personally, it's not too bad. I like that one. I'm really more used to Microthemer, and since I just started using back CSS Hero, I cannot say that one is better than the other, but I really like Microthemer, to be quite honest. And of course, with my coupon code, you will have a better price than what you have right there. So I'm gonna put all the links below that video. Also, one last thing, since I've been using Microthemer for many years, I started to promote it about a year or two ago. And because of that, I have created a website here called microthemer.nailmedia.ca. And in that website, I have put, let me show you, well, I'm going to go that way, I think. This is my sell page, and I have a coupon code here to give you 25% discount. But what I want to show you is that this website will give you access to more than 30 training videos. These were made with Microthemer 4, to be honest, but I made a couple of videos to show you the difference with Microthemer 5. And if you have any questions, you can always open a support ticket, put it there, and I will most likely create a video just for you that I'm going to put available for everybody that has the same question. But I'm going to create a video to help you with that specific issue. So let me, I think that's the page here. Yeah. So in this particular case, I'm using a theme called ProStyler, but of course it works with any theme. And I have a bunch of videos here about different subjects. First of all, different CSS video in general, let's say it like that. I'm starting with some plugins that I'm using. Then I'm moving forward with some of them. Okay, so the interface of Microthemer, how to use different elements, and so on. And finally, at the end, I give you some more general CSS training about media queries, about how to write CSS rules and selectors, what is available with CSS 3, and so on. And if you have any question, like I said, I'm going to add them there as well with some videos to answer the question that you have. All of that is free if you buy Microthemer through my link. So, hope this video is helpful. If you like it, consider subscribing to my channel and you will be notified when there's new video. You can add a thumbs up, of course, for that video and comments. I'm going to really appreciate that. If you have any question, I'll try to answer that. So, with that said, my name is Nelson and here to help you. So I hope this video was helpful for you. Have a good day. Bye.